All right, we are back. We are here with a special guest who's going to be talking a little about some projects with us and some of the work he's done in past films, of course, related to what we typically get into, some of the 80s and 90s stuff as well. We have with us today Mark Christopher Lawrence. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So now a lot of people may not know the name, but they'll know your work because you've done your resume is quite lengthy.
Yes.
But they'll probably know you.
My life. Nobody knows my name. They know my face and not my name. Directly affects what you get paid.
Right, exactly. But they'll know you from.
So I need you to people to remember this face and name.
But now they'll know you from like Chuck was a big role you were in for 5 seasons on that show, right? Was it Big Mike?
Yes, Big Mike.
Big Mike, yeah. So that was a pretty big prolific part you played. Now our podcast, we dive deep into 80s pop culture and some 90s stuff, and your career kind of started around that time. What was some of the first stuff you did? Was it comedy? Was that where you were?
No, my first audition was for Hill Street Blues.
Okay.
And that was, I think, in '86. And, the message was on the machine before I got home from the audition that I had the job.
Oh, nice.
So then for the next year, I ran home and checked my machine after every audition.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that nowadays, it's much quicker, but
best thing that could have happened to me because then I was able to just let it go. It's like, I'm not going to get them all.
Right.
Right. And then I didn't work. I literally didn't work again in film or TV for a year, and then worked on what was it? Caddyshack II. That was my second.
And it's funny because you bring that up because I know Caddyshack has a lot of people that might not like it as much, but I am a huge fan of Caddyshack II. I'm probably one of the few that actually loves Caddyshack II. And it came on, I remember the first time I watched it was in '89 on HBO, and we just had like a few channels at that time, and it was always on HBO. So I watched it quite a bit. So I think I really got into it from that. But I'd love to talk to you a little about that too. When you got into Caddyshack II, what you were playing one of the construction workers for the Hartunian company, Jackie Mason's character. What was it like working with Jackie Mason? That must have been interesting.
It was great. I think as a young actor, I was really disappointed in the way they treated him. And technically he was doing them a favor because, Rodney decided he didn't want to do the film. So they tried to sue Rodney and he won. And, and then they bring Jackie in and, clearly he's very different from Rodney and brought a different dynamic. And they were kissing Chevy Chase's butt the whole time, and treating Jackie terribly. It was like Chevy Chase was like, "Hey, Mr. Chase," they like invite you to the set, and and Jackie, they go, "They want you down there now." It's like, come on, man, where's the respect?
Yeah, it's too bad because I really enjoyed him in that film, and that was my introduction to him because I was fairly young at the time, but. After that, anything he would do, I was paying attention to because I really enjoyed him in that film. And you worked in that film. You also had Marsha Warfield, who was at the time from Night Court.
Night Court.
Yep. So she had a lot of fun. And so as that role, say that again.
The funny thing about Marsha was, we in the scene where we were all playing cards, we're supposed to be on top of a building, and she's afraid of heights. So they built this maybe 5-foot platform in the park and put it up there as if we were on top of this building and just shot up to make it look like we were up there. And it was funny because she was dreadfully afraid of heights. And
wow, it's nice to accommodate
the lengths they go to accommodate. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, but I guess you're talent happy.
Yeah.
And so,
except for Jackie.
Jackie. Hey, get over here, Jackie. Say those lines.
So as you're working on, I noticed too, one of the other early roles you had was on O'Hara, which was Pat Morita's TV series, which was a pretty big deal when it came on because that was right after Karate Kid Part 2, and he was really in demand, I think, at that point. So
that was one of the 2 pimp roles I played my entire career.
So
I remember the suit. I wanted to keep the suit. The suit
Oh,
was
yeah.
like this raw silk, sort of blue, not a royal blue, but a lighter blue. And then I had these pink and blue pimped out alligator shoes. I was like,
Oh yeah.
that's
he was
pretty
very
cool.
upscale pimp.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nice.
So and then from there, like another big role. I know we were looking through your dossier. Terminator 2 was another large role you landed in. A large movie,
Yeah.
at least. You know, it's
Well, you know, like Hill Street Blues changed the way we watch TV. All the
absolutely
cop shows today are modeled after Hill Street Blues.
100%. Yep.
And then Terminator 2 changed the way we watch movies because of the special
100%.
effects. You know, before Terminator 2, Michael Jackson was the only one that had used that special effects in the black and white video.
Right.
And
I remember that. Yeah.
at the time, it was like $10,000 a second or something or a minute to do that morphing.
Yeah.
And now you can do it on your iPhone.
Right. I remember when that Michael Jackson video came out because they played it like during prime time on TV.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
crazy back then. They would just be like, and here's Michael Jackson's new video at 8:00 at night. You know,
Right.
That's crazy.
And so Terminator 2, you know, took that technology and ran with it, and you know, it literally changed the way we make films.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and you got to share a scene with Sarah Connor, Linda.
Linda
Hamilton. Yeah. So that must have been a lot of fun there.
It was really cool. I mean, she was really a sweet lady. And every day I come to set, she'd give me a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and we go to work. And there's a scene where we're chasing her down the hallway, and I think we were shooting that at like 3 a.m. And she comes running down the hall, and she had been working out, you know, 6 days a week with a trainer, so she was like ripped. And James had several cameras set up and a steady cam, you know, and so he says, "Hey guys, when she rounds that corner, can you guys, you know, keep a little closer to her on the run down the hall?" And we're like, "Can you slow her down?" You know, our characters are called burly attendant. And she is ripped and running full speed at 3 a.m.
Burly attendant. Nice.
So how was it working with? I mean, at the time, James Cameron was still, he was a pretty well-known filmmaker, but now he's obviously one of the biggest directors of all time. So at that time, when you were working with him, how was that experience? Was that? I
loved working with him because he knew what he wanted to see. You know, he's very meticulous in that way, and the way he set up shots, and I was actually supposed to work 2 days, and it was like 2 lines. I was supposed to work 2 days, and casting said, "Well, you know, it might go 3 days, so let's book him for a week, and we'll see how it goes." And so when Friday rolled around and I was still there, I was pissed because had we booked me for the 2 days, then I'd have been into overtime already. But then because it was a weekly, you know, for me, it was like, I was just thinking, oh, here I am, I'm still here on Friday, and it's scale. But 6 weeks later, I was still there.
Oh, really?
Wow. And I was like, oh, well, this is good.
Right.
And at the time, it became the most money I'd ever made on a film.
Wow.
So what was that stretch of time, that 6 weeks? So what else did they have you doing? Or are they just reworking
We shot a lot of different things. You know, there's a lot of stuff that made it, a lot of stuff that didn't make it. Like if you look at the director's cut, you'll see when you first see her and she's in there doing pull-ups on her bed. You know, me and the guy Douglas with the glasses, we go in and I zap her with a cattle prod. He hits in the stomach with the billy club. And when we were doing that scene, he was being kind of timid with her. She goes, "Just go ahead and hit me. It's rubber. It's not going to hurt. Hit me." She says, "Because when I get my chance, I'm going to hit you." And so that scene where she breaks the mop handle and she comes out and she whacks him, he was supposed to go one way as she came across, and he went the wrong way. So when you see that blood, that's his nose busted.
Oh my God, really?
Goodness.
That made for a good shot. Hey,
Yeah.
let me ask you this question back to Cameron. So when you with a director like that, so do you prefer a director that basically they have what they want in their head and they basically give you a lot of direction and information as to what they want, or do you prefer when they just kind of give you the overall picture of what's supposed to happen and just let you do your own thing?
A combination of the two. I like a director that knows exactly what they want to see. I don't like a director that tells me how to say what I need to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm good at it and I got an education that proves it.
Right.
Like Rusty Cundiff, for example, and Fear of a Black Hat. You know, he would come in with a skeleton scene and say, "Hey, look, we got to say these words to move the story, but do what you do." And so, you know, that freedom and that trust, you know, as an actor, it really gives you confidence. You know, it's very rare I get notes anyway, but it's kind of nice to get them occasionally, as long as you're not giving me line readings.
Right. Sure. Okay.
Now, when you were like, when he handed you that script, Terminator 2, did you get the whole thing or did you just get the scene?
They would not let the script go. If you wanted to, if you were reading for the project, you had to go to their office, which was way the hell out in the middle of nowhere. I don't even remember what part of the city it was. I remember it was a 45-minute drive from my house, and I lived in Hollywood at the time. And so I go to the office, and I read the sides for the scene, and then I sat there and read the whole script. And then the next day I came a little early and read the sides more to get ready for the audition, even though it was only 2 lines. Like I already knew what it was. But I just wanted to see it in my head and see if there was any way that I misinterpreted or if I needed to bring something else to it. And if I exhausted all my choices, you know, on those 2 lines. And so I go in, I do my thing, and James was like, "Okay, cool, thanks." And then when we got to set, you know, he would go, "Hey, what would you say right here?" And I'd say something. He'd go, "Oh yeah, come on." And so that's how I ended up staying there for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Just kept expanding that role. That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good that you basically you create and work for yourself, you know, instead of just going in and being like, "Hot dog, sir." You're like, "Okay, I'll hang out until they need me to do something else," you know.
So from the Cameron angle, I mean, when you read that script, did you say this is going to be huge? This is.
When I read it, I didn't. It never said in the script we're going to use morphing technology. So in my head, I was like, "How are they going to do that?" It was like I was trying to figure out how that's going to be an ugly cut. And then when I saw it, you know, at the premiere, it's like people were screaming when it first happened. When we first saw the morph, it was like, wow. Yeah, it was incredible.
Certainly was.
I remember seeing it in the theater, and it was mind blowing technology at that time.
Yeah.
You know.
And liking the first one, but the second one was even better for me. I mean, it's just incredible. So that doesn't always happen. Usually the sequel kind of falls off a little bit, where the sequel is like, okay, we saw what you did in the first one, but this one is just amazing technology and just
Well, the first one, I mean, the way he held the intensity of it throughout was incredible. It's like you know, when Michael Beach says to her, "He will not stop until he kills you." It's like, he was right, because even when the thing was just a skeleton, half a skeleton crawling after her, it's like, oh crap. The thing would not die.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you've worked with Cameron, you've worked with Michael Bay and The Island, you've worked with a lot of really great directors. And I mean, from all those different perspectives, how has that helped you, like in your career? Has that helped shape you in different ways when you take different roles?
I don't know. I think as an actor, you just want to act and you try to bring something different every time, you know, because I'm a character actor. I'm not like a leading man in the sense of, you know, the pretty boy lead. Although I did a lead in a Christmas movie that'll be out this November, but it's like it's one of those things where, you know, when you're working with a director, it's like, for me, I just want to give them what they want to make their vision come true. And sometimes when you, as an actor, when you bring, you know, your perspective to it, sometimes they really like it. And, you know, and hopefully that's where I land with people. With Michael Bay, they kept moving my start date. And I ended up working on Center of the Universe with John Goodman. And so they called one night and said, hey, we have you come to the set tomorrow at such time. I said, nope, got to call my agent. So I'm working on Center of the Universe. So they called my agent and they said, okay, we'll get him in at 6 a.m. We'll have him out by 11 because my call time at Center of the Universe was noon. And so 10 o'clock, I'm still sitting in my dressing room. I called my agent. I said, hey, you need to tell them that at 11 o'clock, I'm walking to my car, whether they got the shot or not, because technically Center of the Universe owns me today.
Right.
So finally at about 10:15, 10:20, they come and bring me to set. And Michael Bay says, I hate your agent. and then he set up 3 cameras. We did 1 rehearsal, and then we shot it 3 times, and I was done. And at the premiere, I walk in. He's got his shirt buttoned down to his belly button. He's got his hair flowing like the Bee Gees. And it's like as I walk in, I can just hear that Bee Gees song. And you can tell by the way I use my phone. And there's Michael Bay's shirt all open, and he goes, hey, that scene. It turns out that every time we've tested this movie, that's the biggest laugh in the movie. He says, I'm so glad I didn't fire you because I hated your agent.
That's an honest assessment. That's nice. Yeah.
But that's got to feel pretty good. That's got to feel really good.
Yeah.
So you said you got a movie coming out, a Christmas movie this year.
It's called Bringing Back Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, it's you know, we shot in July of last year. They were trying to get it out for this past Christmas, and after it was cut, the distribution company saw it and said, hey, we should wait so we can give it a bigger launch. And so it's going into theaters, and it's going to, because I went to a screening of it, and it was great. It's like it's a really, really good movie.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, if it was going to be on a platform or know, or actually in the theaters. So because with Christmas movies these days, I mean, if all of a sudden that hits and you turn into a classic, those Christmas movies every year they're out.
Hey,
and, so
I'm in 5 Christmas movies.
That's your niche. That's your niche. You're the Christmas movie guy.
Christmas with the Cranks is you know, a huge one. You know, and then I did one for OWN, which is called One Fine Christmas, and I did one for Hallmark, which is called Second Chance for Christmas. And then I shot another one last year that will probably be out this year too, called Lying Together. And then this one, Bringing Back Christmas, it really has a lot of heart. I'm not sure if you know Lee Ellen Baker.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, she was on Lab Rats and man, she is so funny. And all my
kids were big Lab Rats fans.
Yeah, all my stuff is with her. And there were moments where, you know, it's like I couldn't look at her because she would make me laugh. She was so funny, and our chemistry is really, really good. So I'm hoping we end up doing some other stuff together because she's really funny.
Yeah, you were the announcer on Lab Rats, correct?
Oh yeah. The robot thing, the robot wars.
That's right. Yeah, I remember because my kids watched it all the time, so I knew that show pretty well.
And Lee Allen, we were both in Family Camp that came out last year, but we didn't have any scenes together.
So this will be a kind of a cool, way to rejoin.
So you have that movie coming out. What else do you have going on right now, Mark?
We have a mini series for PureFlix coming out called Fragment Oblivion. And it's one of those projects that I had worked with the director before on movie called Sleeper Agent, which is really funny. Leland Clawson is hilarious, and so it's a thriller about what happens if billions of people in the world just suddenly disappeared.
Interesting.
You know, and my character is a detective, and you know, there's this storyline that uses the reality of kind of our last few years here on Earth, really, and so it's kind of set in the past, present, and future.
Oh, cool.
Each character, you know, they have their own story. Each main character have their own story that you follow through this miniseries. And you know, my character, you know, he loses his family in the blink, as they call it, and so it's him being a detective and also, you know, missing his family and you know, trying to figure out, is there a way to get him back and or whatever, until he figures out what it is.
Sounds interesting.
It should be pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
And what platform is that going to be on?
That's going to be on PureFlix.
PureFlix. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Now going back to your origins, what got you into acting? Like, what was it that sort of drove you in that direction? That interested you?
I had a teacher in the 10th grade, an English teacher, that put me in my first play. You know, before you go to high school, you take the proficiency exam, the English proficiency exam. They place you in an English class, and I was a student athlete, and so I'm like the student athlete in this class of brainiacs. And so other athletes would pass by the door, look in there, and say, "Hey, what are you doing in there?" I said, "Apparently, I can read."
What'd you play? What'd you play? Football?
Yeah, I played football and I wrestled.
And you wrestled?
Oh, cool.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Mrs. Schilling put me in my first play. She got me involved in speech and debate, and she introduced me to a guy, Perry Brentz, who was one of her former students, and he was at USC at the time. Had him coach me on this one speech that I was doing, oral interpretation of literature, and I was doing a 10-minute cutting of the short story Stagger Lee. So I was doing probably like 12 or 15 characters. And so he came in to coach me. And
Nice.
during the process, he was like, you know, you're just naturally funny. He said, you got to get on stage sometime and be a stand-up. And so me and my friend Lennon started trying to do some stand-up stuff. And he helped us out a little bit. And, you know, I did my first, you know, night of stand-up, you know, at the Comedy Store in Hollywood. And two people before me, Robin Williams, does a pop-in, does 45 minutes and just rips the place up. And I was so glad I wasn't next.
Oh my God.
Because the next two guys, when they started doing their thing, it's like people were still talking about Robin.
Right.
And then finally I go up and I do my little 3 minutes, and it was funny. And Louis Anderson says, "Hey, you got something, kid. Keep writing." And, you know, at that point, I really didn't know how to write, you know, didn't know how to put together an act. And so Perry, again, you know, got together with me and started putting together an act. And I did a show for him at USC called Evening of Soul. And that was like my first real performance as a stand-up. And you know, I was in 11th grade at the time. And
I was going to say, you're in high school. You're in high school doing this.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I have a kid that I'm working with now that I started coaching him when he was 13.
Oh wow.
And he's 17 now, and you know, he's in his first year of college, and you know, he's got an hour. I told him, I said, "Hey, when you blow up, I'm your opener."
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah.
So you continue doing comedy?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Is it now? Do you do when you do your stand up? Do you like to tour around the countries, or is it just do you kind of keep it local?
I like to go out and you know, for like a weekend or something, but I don't like to be on the road. Like, you know, there's guys that do the road, you know, 30, 40 weeks out of the year. That's not me. You know, I did that when I was younger. I was opening for a bunch of people. I was learning the ropes and you know, realized that I hate that.
Right, yeah.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
But I do like to pop out and get a weekend here and there and come back. Or if there's a week-long gig, go do a week and then come back. But that just on the road constantly is just, you know, it's too much. And it takes you out of Hollywood.
Sure. Yeah. especially if you're working, regularly like
Right.
you are,
Yeah.
I'm
So,
usually,
I do a lot here in California. And
Yeah. So now that you start, so you're 11th grade, you've started to do comedy and such. When did you finally take the leap into television acting, movie acting?
So that wasn't until I got to USC. When I was at USC, I took a voice class for speaking and centering because I went to USC on a debate scholarship. And so I was gonna,
nice.
in my head, I was gonna be a lawyer. And then out of the blue one day, I said, I'm gonna take this voice class for speaking and centering so I can be dynamic in the courtroom. and I take this voice class, and the teacher, Ron Ellison is his name now. He talked me into auditioning for the Bachelor of Fine Arts acting program at SC. And it's a 4-year program. I was already a junior. He coached me for the audition and I got in.
Oh, wow.
And started working professionally that same year. I did Antony and Cleopatra at Los Angeles Theater Center and Hill Street Blues that same year.
Oh, wow. So you didn't get to rest on anything. You were right into,
jumped right in. And then that was, that was probably the play was probably the best thing that happened to me because all of a sudden I'm working with these professional actors that were amazing, Rosalind Cash, Mitch Ryan, John Goodman, CCH Pounder, all these really, really fantastic professional actors, and my acting took a leap. It's like I went from being sort of, fresh out of high school, learning how to act in college to I'm a pro.
Right. And you're in the middle of LA. I mean, so I mean, it's not like you're in Iowa in acting classes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you could walk out your door and you might get an agent, there.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, what happened was my first play at USC. Once I was in the program, one of my debate coaches was friends with an agent and brought her to see the play, and she signed me. And so I go to her office and sign, and she says, "We'll get you some headshots." And I'm a broke college student. I can't afford headshots. So she called her friend Charles Fredson, who shot me for $75, and she paid for it. And I used those pictures for 11 years.
There you go.
My commercial agents were going, you still look like these pictures, but we've been using them so much, we think we should get you some new ones. So I finally took some new headshots, but that was the beginning of it. With I signed with her, and then literally first audition, first job.
I mean, she obviously believed in you enough to say, "Hey, I'll foot that bill. I'll get you, what you need to get you out there."
When she saw the play, after the play, she came up to me and she said, "I could not take my eyes off you when you're on stage." And that's, as an actor, it's like you want to affect people like that. I remember the first time I saw Fences, it was with James Earl Jones and Mary Alice, and Courtney Vance played the young son. And I didn't remember Mary Alice because James Earl Jones was so strong. I could not stop watching him when he was on stage. He was just a beast. And I think maybe in the back of my head, this is what I want to do, but I don't remember saying it out loud. And so when I'm working, especially in theater, it's like I'm really trying to give my best every time, every night. It's like you're getting my best.
And you've done so many, from stand-up to voiceover work to theater work to TV, movie. Do you have a favorite place where you're the most comfortable, or that you'd rather, if you said you had to choose one? Is there a spot that you're like, I want to be on stage, I love the TV? Is there one that sticks out that's like, I'm comfortable and I'm in my groove and I love it. I love being in this space?
It would be a toss-up between stand-up and live stage. Because you affect people in real time. It's like people are invested right now. You make them laugh right now. You make them cry right now. I remember doing what was it, Raisin in the Sun, and this lady came up to me at the end of a matinee one day, bawling, and she was affected so deeply by not only the play but by my performance. And it's like you don't get that with film and TV. because you had to wait to see if the editor does you a good turn and
right.
Like in Bringing Back Christmas, the editor was there every day, and he was editing, and so he introduced himself to me one day, and he said, "Hey, I just want to introduce myself. I'm the editor." He says, "You are riveting." He says, "This is going to be a really good vehicle for you." I said, "Well, thank you." It's like,
that's nice to get some feedback like that.
Immediate feedback.
Halfway through, right?
But you never know. You never know how's it going to go with the editor. Like in Pursuit of Happiness, there's a scene where Will Smith comes to get his money from me, and my best take was the second take, and his best take was maybe 2 takes or 3 takes later. And they went with his take.
Right.
And I get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say with comedians. Always say that, when you hear them say like, well, they like the stage because they get the immediate feedback. So they know they can change and go in different directions, and versus, do 25 different shots for a movie, and then you don't even know what it's going to look like till you go to the theater 3 months or a year from now. So,
well, also if something doesn't work tonight, you can go home and try to fix it for tomorrow.
Right.
It's live.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
So if I had to choose, it would be either stand up or just live stage. Although I love the money from TV and film.
That's an honest answer.
Half a dozen the other.
Do you have any plays or anything you're planning on doing in the future?
I'm hoping to do Fences at the Laguna Playhouse. I know that they're gonna be gearing up for that next season, so I'm hoping to do that. I've been working on my one-man show slowly. I ended up, I was working on it. I was doing a little bit of tap dance to sort of refresh myself, and my foot wasn't acting right, and ended up having back surgery in 2020. I had a disc that opened up, and the goop in the disc was going down into my sciatic nerve canal, so they had to go in and fix that. So I'll get back on that this year and try to figure out what's going to be the move with that. I think I've always said that my only regret was I didn't go to New York after college, but it's not really a regret because you can always get there.
Sure.
And so I'm treating this one-man show as a vehicle to try to get there.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Like somewhere around Broadway. Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. Let us know when it gets there. We'll be there.
We'll do.
All right. But hey, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your story. Awesome.
Incredible.
It's been a great time spending with you. So
thank you.
And we look forward to
if any of your followers are out in Cali, and come and see me on March 16th at Mic Drop.
Awesome.
In San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you.
You heard the man. Get out there.
Yeah, get there. Yeah. Don't miss the show. All right. Hey, you guys got anything else? You guys?
No. Thank you so much, Mark. You've been great. Thank you.
Yeah, Mark. Awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Hopefully, we can talk again sometime soon.
Yeah, let's do it again when the bringing back Christmas gets ready to open. Let's talk again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
All
right.
Sounds like a date.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.